All right, so you guys wanted to talk about RFK Jr. at the Bitcoin conference. Let's dive into this. This speech is a lot, even for him.
Yeah, it's like he jumped into the deep end of the Bitcoin pool.
Okay, so picture this. It's the Bitcoin conference. Everyone's hyped up, right? And RFK Jr. just walks on stage and basically says he's done with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a Kennedy we're talking about. This family practically invented the Democratic Party. So for him to just like break away like that,
It's huge.
it's a really big deal. It was almost like he was making a statement, like a declaration of independence, you know?
Okay, so he's going rogue. But why now and why Bitcoin? This
Yeah.
seems like kind of a random hill to die on.
Well, he's framing it as this like pledge to the American people, right? Like
Yeah.
he's done with the political games and he only answers to, his conscience. To us, the voters. I don't know. I mean, it's risky, but it's definitely attention grabbing.
Yeah, and let's be real, that outsider thing plays well these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the whole drain the swamp mentality, but coming from a guy who's, kind of already in the swamp.
Exactly. So it's a gamble for sure. But do you think he can actually pull it off? I mean, can he really convince voters he's one of us and not just another politician?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? He's walking this tight rope, right? Trying to tap into this distrust of, the government and everything. But at the same time, he's asking voters to trust him.
And let's be real, he is the ultimate political insider.
Hmm.
So can he really change the system from within when he's been part of it for so long?
It's a tough sell, but hey, stranger things have happened, right?
Okay, so he's ditching the party, going full independent, and now everyone's like, okay, what's next? And then he goes on to lay out this whole vision for like a Bitcoin America.
That was a wild ride, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack. So let's break it down. What's his big plan?
Well, he's got this whole day one agenda. Like, he gets in office, and bam, Bitcoin is everywhere. Like, it's the central thing.
Okay, so hit me with some specifics. What's he actually proposing?
All right, so first executive order. He's directing the Department of Justice, the U.S. Marshals, all of them, to take all the Bitcoin the government currently holds, it's like 200,000 Bitcoin, and move it straight into the U.S. Treasury.
Interesting. So basically like putting the government's Bitcoin stash in the national piggy bank.
Exactly. He wants to send a message, that he's serious about this, but he doesn't stop there. He wants the Treasury to then buy 550 Bitcoin every single day.
Wait, every single day? Why so much?
His goal is to build a strategic reserve. He wants at least 4 million Bitcoin locked up.
Wow, like a digital Fort Knox or something.
Right, like Fort Knox, but instead of gold bars, it's Bitcoin. He's arguing it'll put us on par with, like, our gold holdings, which are, what, like 19% of the global total? So
Yeah.
he's making a statement, right? This is where he sees Bitcoin and the future of money.
Okay, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's the whole thing with taxes, right?
Oh, yeah. Buckle up, because this is where it gets interesting.
So he wants to basically make transactions between Bitcoin and, regular US dollars, like invisible to the IRS,
Yeah.
no reporting, no taxes.
Yep. He's basically saying the government shouldn't be involved in this. And then, get this, he wants the IRS to treat Bitcoin as a valid asset for 131 exchanges.
Hold on, 1031 exchanges for those of us who aren't, like, tax experts.
Right, sorry.
Right.
Basically, it's a way to like defer capital gains taxes, but usually just for real estate. He wants to extend it to Bitcoin.
So he's not just talking about making a quick buck off of Bitcoin. It's more about, like, financial freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Giving people control over their own money. It's a powerful message, especially now when a lot of people don't trust, the government or the banks.
Okay, I get it, but come on, this is RFK Jr. we're talking about, the environment guy. Doesn't he see, like, the huge energy consumption of Bitcoin? That's got to be an issue for him.
Right. You'd think so, but he actually addresses it head on.
What does he say?
He claims that Bitcoin actually incentivizes green energy.
Oh.
Well, he says that Bitcoin miners, the people with those powerful computers verifying transactions and stuff.
Yeah, they use a ton of electricity, right?
Exactly. But because of that, they're really sensitive to energy costs. So they're always going to set up shop wherever the power is cheapest. And increasingly, that means renewable sources like solar, wind,
So he's saying Bitcoin is actually good for the planet. I don't know about that one.
Yeah. It's a tough sell for some people. There are definitely some critics out there. They're saying, yeah, maybe some miners are using renewables, but overall, Bitcoin still uses a ton of energy. And that's got to come from somewhere, right?
Right. And if it's not coming from renewables, then it's coming from...
Fossil fuels. Exactly. So it's a complex issue. Like, is it pushing us towards green energy, or is it going to lead to more demand for fossil fuels?
Okay.
It's something to watch for sure.
Totally. But okay, let's get back to RFK Jr.'s big picture here for a
All
sec.
right.
He seems to be saying that Bitcoin isn't just about, like, making money or even the environment. It's about something way bigger.
Yeah, he's talking about like fixing the whole system, like restoring America to its former glory kind of thing.
Right. He even said something like, fix the money, fix the world. Pretty ambitious.
Yeah. It is. But he's blaming a lot of America's problems on like our messed up money system.
Going all the way back to, like, Nixon taking us off the gold standard, right?
Yep, 1971. He says that's when everything started going downhill because it opened the door for like unlimited money printing, which leads to inflation. And inflation, he calls it a hidden tax on everyone, but especially the poor and middle class.
Which, let's be real, is a lot of people these days.
Exactly. So it's a message that resonates, you know? People are feeling the pinch, and he's offering what sounds like a solution.
And that solution is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. He sees it as a way to, like, control the Federal Reserve, because right now they can just print as much money as they want, right?
Which devalues the dollar, leads to inflation.
Exactly. But Bitcoin is finite. There's only a certain amount, so you can't just, like, create more out of thin air.
Okay, I see where he's going with this. So it's about, like, sound money, fiscal responsibility.
And peace. He actually connects Bitcoin to preventing wars.
Wait, really? How does that work?
Well, he says that throughout history, whenever governments have wanted to fight wars, they've just printed more money to pay for it.
Which, of course, has consequences later on.
Right. But with Bitcoin, they couldn't just do that. They'd have to be more responsible, find other ways to resolve conflicts.
It's an interesting idea, for sure. I mean, whether it would actually work in the real world, who knows?
Yeah, it's definitely food for thought.
But you know what I appreciate? He's not just talking about, like, the technical stuff. He's talking about freedom, individual liberty, like taking power back from the big institutions and giving it back to the people.
Absolutely. It's a very appealing message, right?
Totally. So we've gone pretty deep on RFK Jr. and his Bitcoin vision. It's a lot to process. I think we're left with more questions than answers. Like, is this really the future, or is it just a nice idea that will never actually happen?
Right. It's like, is it too good to be true?
Exactly. But that's for each of you listening to decide, what do you think? Is RFK Jr. onto something here? Hit us up on our socials. Let's keep this conversation going. This is one for the books for sure. And as always, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.